Hello, everybody. It is Sunday, November 8th, and Sunday means Sports Pop Talk. So, hope you are going to watch and hang out with us for a little bit. Kick up your feet, grab a cold one. Let's talk some sports. All right. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's having a blessed day. If you notice the background, it is snowing here in Tahoe. We have some snow, but they play football in the snow. That doesn't stop them at all. So they definitely, those are some fun games. So we got some NFL on tap and maybe some other sports news to cover, but can't do it by myself. So let me go ahead and bring on my co-host here. And there he is. How's it going, Tori?
What's up?
How have you been? How is the week going for you, my friend? How's everything?
Uh, the week's been going sort of uneventful. I picked up a bunch of like boxes to put for to sort the cards and stuff. So that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Okay. So you well, we have Christina Payne is in the house. Hello, Christina
Hey,
Payne.
Christina.
So definitely let's say hi to Christina. So we're excited for that. But yeah, we definitely like I said, we have some sports going on. Like I said, sometimes we have the opportunity to come on and talk sports. Sometimes things happen on Sundays, and whether it's myself or Tori, we'll try to make sure that we can have a show if possible. What I wanted to do, Tori, sometimes like if you're on the show, if I could do a remote like from the actual sports book or something, just like I don't know, I'm just like looking at different ways of interacting with the sports scenario. But we do have, obviously week 8 has played out, so we're heading into week 9. But we do have a growing list of injuries. We do have a growing list of people that are still dealing with the COVID through the sports. At this point, what would you say grade wise? I mean, how do you look at the NFL, like how they're handling things? We're kind of at that halfway point. Do you see everything kind of lengthening out and being able to get to that playoff stage?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the NFL has taken a flu-like approach to COVID where, you know, if you test positive, you get sent home, but they still continue, like, they don't shut everything down. It seemed that in baseball, they were shutting everything down when one guy tested positive. But, like, that doesn't really make sense because it's not like they're getting tested while they're in the clubhouse.
Well, you have like Mayfield, Baker Mayfield. He's on the COVID list, but no positive test.
Oh, so why?
So he is placed on the COVID-19 reserve list. He came in contact with a staff member who tested positive. So
Got it.
contact. in regards for and that staff member tested positive for the virus on Saturday. So I don't know, like how all that plays out. When you have staff members that are testing positive, usually you're probably around them throughout the week.
Well, it depends on the staff member. I mean, the staff member could have been like the guy in ticket sales.
Mainstream, hello, how are you? Yeah,
he kinda.
But I mean, definitely, I think when you look at the situation that's going now, the Browns, they got to buy next. They got to buy Sunday. So, I mean, we'll see how that all plays out. But like I said, when you have this situation, they can't go to practices. There's a certain time they can return to practices. How it affects the locker room, but I mean, quarterbacks, or whatever, missing a few days of practice, not that big. They can always isolate them in a room, and they can throw the ball, down the field to somebody else who's far away from them, that has gloves, touching the ball, whatever. So we do have the NFL on hand, but I also wanted to look at a couple other things that was going on in the world of sports. And so we have a little bit of MLB news, and I know we just got done with the MLB, but it's just kind of interesting with the news that came out. And I wanted to show you, and you can touch on it a little bit for me. So the Red Sox, they decided to sign back Alex Cora. So Alex Cora is back in the manager helm. Is this a good thing? I mean, why, with so many options out there, so many candidates to pretty much go after, why would you, like, I mean, if a dog bit me in the hand, I'm not going to bring him home and keep him as a pet, right? I mean, it just wouldn't be the smart thing to do. So why, if this has already got stung up with this before, why go this route?
Well, I mean, I don't know if the Red Sox necessarily view that they were hurt by it. I don't know if.
Well, I mean, the suspension, his suspension's over. You know what I
Right,
mean?
his suspension's over, and he's eligible to work again in baseball. I don't think any other team would have hired him. Maybe in like a advisor capacity, maybe. But as a coach on the field, as a manager, I don't think anyone would have touched him.
Well, but I mean, he took them to the World Series. I mean, he's had the opportunity to leading them, and they couldn't interact with him until after the World Series was over for contracts. He now gets a 2-year deal. But it's like he's part of the organization that brought negative attention to the organization. And so obviously Boston is a place that, he wants to be. But looking at Shane Bloom, who's running the baseball operation, he welcomed Cora's back in a team statement. And basically what he said is, Alex Cora is an outstanding manager and the right person to lead our club into 2021 and beyond. The way he leads, inspires, and connects with everyone around him is almost unmatched, and an incredible baseball acumen and feel for the game. Because of all that had happened, I knew that I wanted to speak with Alex once his suspension ended, but I didn't yet know if it made sense to consider him for the job as well. So, like I said, we'll see, if for the Red Sox sake, if it's a match that it worked once, but doesn't work twice. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, the Red Sox are in a very weird position because, they sort of their former GM ruined their future basically by trading away all their young up and coming prospects.
You mean giving the Dodgers a World Series victory?
Yeah, basically. Well, and not trade. I think the Mookie Betts trade was Bloom's way of trying to get some young players back.
Well, the Dodgers and Red Sox have always had big trades with each other.
Yeah.
In the past. I mean, there's always been
Manny Ramirez.
you know. So those organizations that they like the talent that runs within the organizations, and they usually find ways to get trades together. So we also have a little bit of soccer. Just kind of touch on a little bit. Man City hosts Liverpool, and right now it is halftime. Liverpool and Man City is 1-1. So they're going to be starting the game in the bottom half of the table here pretty soon. So Man City, the winner of the last 3 Premier League titles, they're going to be at Etihad Stadium, and Liverpool trails the leaders Leicester by just 2 points. So that's your soccer that we got going on here. There's a lot with that Man City and Liverpool. Good battles for that. So the college football, let's take a look here. Now, you were mentioning you want to kind of touch on this a little bit with Notre Dame. They had a win against Clemson.
Yeah, they won in double overtime.
So they had double overtime win.
They were both undefeated, but Clemson was without Trevor Lawrence, their star quarterback.
Okay, so even without the star quarterback, they still took it to double overtime.
Well, Clemson's, yeah, which sort of talks about how, the same few schools get all the recruits. And that's why you see schools like Alabama, and at the top every year, because they consistently get the top recruits, even though they always have 5 or 6 guys drafted every year.
Well, let's take a look real quick at the standings. And they just kind of catch up a little bit in the American Athletic Conference. The number 6 Cincinnati Bearcats are right up there with the number 18 SMU Mustangs and the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes, battling it out there. So surprised there at the Bearcats. But I know they put up some sneaky teams in the past, competitive teams, so it is a decent program. And then, so obviously, Notre Dame with the win over Clemson, it does 2 things there. Obviously Clemson was the number 1 seed, and Notre Dame in that division has taken that lead. So you have Notre Dame, Clemson, and Miami are all neck and neck. Now, the Clemson gets the loss to Notre Dame. So if they were to end up in a tie, obviously Notre Dame wins out. So Notre Dame is making a statement for their playoffs. But now with Clemson losing, who's going to fall into that number 1 role? You had Notre Dame was number 4.
You probably have, so I'm trying to look at the standing. I'm wondering how many undefeated teams there are.
Well, right now,
how is OSU only 2-0?
They haven't been able to play as much, I think, or I don't know.
Oh.
Indiana's 3-0, Ohio State's 3-0. So for some reason they've started later. But you got, Northwest.
Yeah, Oregon's 0-0.
Yeah,
some teams just Yeah, some teams opted out, I think,
So I mean,
you
you
know,
have
of
yeah,
this.
you don't have a lot of numbers the same right now. So
Right.
um,
So, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, you have Coastal Carolina is 6-0.
yeah,
Like, it's, yeah, I mean, you have, well, Clemson's now 7-1. Alabama's undefeated. Notre Dame's 7-0 now. Cincinnati, the Bearcats, Brigham Young. So, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with the national championship, the playoffs this year. Because I remember last year, like, they put a couple of teams with one loss over undefeated teams.
yeah. Well, it's strength of schedule. Teams that they're playing. So
Right. Well, it's sort of they give like a like the teams in the ACC and the Big East and the SEC, they get preference over teams that aren't. So
yeah. All right, so let's. I wanted to go over some of Week 8, some of the plays that came up in Week 8, and kind of show that a little bit. So let me pull this up here full screen. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of watch a little bit. Obviously, Taysom Hill, getting in the end zone, picked up some fantasy points last week. That's how it is, when you get fantasy guys on your team, you never know who's going to have that big game. Nyheim Hines, was able to score, running back. So your fantasy football, there's a lot of week to week players that step up. You have some guys that are getting injured, some guys that are sick. You have guys that are on buys. So you got to go and make sure you pull, hopefully what's going to be the right players, that are going to get some looks. Mike Williams stepping up there for the Chargers. Allen Robinson, doing well. Like that's the wide receiver I have on my fantasy team. He's been pretty steady. So hopefully this week he does really well with Tennessee as their opponent. So yeah, I mean, Detroit's been very surprising this year as well. Like they've been very competitive in their games. You used to think that they couldn't play on the road, or outside, but they've been very competitive. And Chiefs, Chiefs have so many weapons, Demarcus Robinson being one of them. So, that's definitely an option for Mahomes, and then going up against the Jets, did you see it being anything different? But once again, like I said, you have Nyheim Hines, doing a really good job for the Colts. The Colts, they're that gritty team. They grind it out, they're always competitive. Panthers, they've been doing well this year too. They're going to get there's Christian McCaffrey's coming back this week, so that'll help them out. But definitely, when you look at these plays, you got like McCole Hardman. Like I said, the Chiefs, they just so many tools in the shed. So many options for Mahomes. It makes it hard to defend. So I mean, definitely McCole Hardman, a good pickup. Maybe not the sexy name, but he's you could see once again Tyreek Hill. When you're spreading the ball around, some guys are going to get some plays. So that's what's great about that. Deshaun Hamilton, that's a wide receiver right there. As somebody could be looking to. It's hard to kind of go with the Broncos and feel confident, with that in regards, but a lot of these plays, these players, racking up the points, I mean, they do help your fantasy team if you're able to get the right guys at that week. I mean, some guys can have some really big weeks. Like, so, Philip Lindsay, I have him on my squad as well. But it's like, okay, do I pick him? It's like, that's what I'm trying to decide. It's like, and then if I don't pick him, it seems like he does well. And if I do pick him, it seems like, not that great. I don't know. It's just like, it's hard to determine what happens. Like I'm trying to decide, okay, do I go with Gus Edwards, or do I go with, Philip Lindsay? It's like Philip Lindsay's playing Atlanta this week. Their defense isn't that great. Danny Amendola is playing Minnesota. Who do I go with? And then of course, right there, Dalvin Cook, doing a great job for Minnesota. So, that's something you're going to see right there, with Minnesota, hopefully trying to turn things around. But I mean, a lot of Dalvin Cook. So yeah, so that's, basically, with your fantasy through the week. And, you also have your hits, your NFL hits. So I wanted to show you a little bit of that in regards, let's see here. So and put that full screen there. So these are some big hits that you get in the game. Boom. Obviously a lot of action here. You got Atlanta and Carolina with their defense. Atlanta is starting to pick up the pace a little bit. They're an interesting team. I don't know why I didn't get flagged there for pushing them out. Cincinnati, is starting to step up a little bit. Boom. I liking the Rams uniforms right there. But Miami, they gave them fits. Gave them fits. Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Boom. That was such a look at that. Oh man. Sandwich. He's gotta be hurting. Once again, Green Bay trying to stop Dalvin Cook. And Dalvin Cook's on the field, it helps Minnesota out a great deal. So, you definitely look at that. Landry is feeling that back of the head area. Ooh. Bam. He went nowhere. Look at that. Nope. See, that's what's going to happen with that rookie quarterback. Get rid of the ball. So right there, you got Tampa Bay, continuing to excel, behind Brady, so a little bit more consistency developing. Oh, take your own guy out. Wow. Oh, wow. But I mean, yeah, so these are some of the hits that happened last week, in regards. So definitely, it's good to see that in the NFL, with the hits and stuff. But let's jump into it, Tori. Like, let's take a look at what's going on this week, pick wise. What game would you like to start with?
So let me pull it up quickly. I'm on the college football. Let's see. We got Bills Seahawks. That's gonna be a good game.
So you got the Bills and the Seahawks. So how do you see that? How do you see that one playing out? Now Buffalo, Josh Allen is kind of getting things back up. But
I mean, I've been saying that's going to be a really interesting situation because the Bills did draft Jake Fromm. So, now that Josh Allen has sort of come into his own and I guess has become what people thought he was going to be. What do they do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is you still have, Jake Fromm is still going to be there. You always need a viable backup. Josh Allen, but I mean that's his, that's his team. So
Right.
right now, so the Bills are getting +3. Seattle's favored. How do you see this game playing out? I mean, is this going to be Buffalo's defense? But I mean, you got the expertise with Seattle.
It's going to be a really close game. I mean, like I've been saying every week, it's hard to bet against Russell Wilson just because he's so dynamic that unless it's like the steel curtain of the Steelers back in the day, I don't. It's hard for a defense, even as good as like a Bills defense, to contain a guy like that.
I mean, neither of these teams have been playing extremely well defense. I mean, I think we're getting pretty much a lot of points in this game. I think the Seahawks are going to pretty much. I mean, they're relying on their offense. Russell Wilson, I think they're going to throw the ball like crazy. I don't know if the Bills are going to be able to stop DK Metcalf or not. Tyler Lockett, I don't know if when it comes down to that end zone, if they're going to be able to produce in that. Obviously, it's a game that the Buffalo needs to show and step up that they can handle this type of game. But I just don't know if that's going to happen. But the problem is Seattle can't defend the outside receivers. So you have Stephon Diggs, with Josh Allen. So what are we going to get? I think there's a little bit of a shootout. But when you look at the quarterbacks and the experience, with Wilson and Josh Allen, I think Seattle possibly pulls this out, maybe a 24-20 type win. So what do you think? They're both 6 wins. You got 6-1, 6-2. Who continues winning?
I'm going Seahawks. It's like I said, it's hard to bet against Russell Wilson. So I'm just gonna go with the Seahawks, but I think it could go either way, and it's gonna be a very close game.
Okay. So let's move down the road to Indianapolis. We got Baltimore 5-2 against Indianapolis 5-2. So right now, the Ravens, you have the Colts are -1, so the Colts are favored. Okay, so they're looking for this to be a close game, but they're saying Colts are going to pull this out. But I mean, the Ravens, they're a pretty good team. I mean, they came close to beating Pittsburgh. I mean, they're holding their own. They've always had a team that battles, whether it's playoffs or not. So would you think that this I don't know, like their defense, like the COVID thing, what do you see with between these two teams, their styles, and how do you see this playing out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I will say is that the home team usually automatically gets 3 points from the odds from Vegas and odds makers. So it's almost like the Ravens are favored, I guess, because it's -1 instead of -3.
Right. So it's like they're favored by 4 or 2. Like that's the thing is like, okay, so they're favored by 2 points. The Ravens technically, but because of the 3 or whatever, now it's -1 but will the Colts be able to run? Will Jonathan Taylor be able to get going? Will the Baltimore's defense be able to stop them? They obviously need to be able to run. Are they going to be able to attack with a short passing game and be able to pull off, the semi upset? This is a game where, it's the battle, Colts and the Ravens. Ravens coming off a tough, loss with Steelers. What happens here? Is there a little bit of a letdown? So I'm going to go ahead and say the Colts pulled, the Baltimore Ravens pulled us out. NFC, the former Baltimore Colts against now the Baltimore Ravens. So it's at Baltimore Bowl. Who do you like?
I'd have to go with Baltimore too, but again, I think it'll be a close game. I think it will come down. I think the Colts are gonna be able to figure out the defense a little. I don't think it's gonna be like a shutout or anything, like a low scoring, but it's the same thing. It's Lamar Jackson. It's hard to bet against guys like that.
Yeah, he's doing his thing, and Lamar Jackson, has a way of making the defenses get headaches. So, let's go a little bit down the road. You got an interesting matchup today. It could be a upset as a possibility. You got Carolina 3-5 against Kansas City 7-1. I think if Kansas City keeps Carolina around in this game, you could see a potential upset. I mean, Kansas City is a scoring machine. Like I said, they have a lot of tools in the shed, a lot of offense. But they played the Jets last week. So sometimes, like when you play a team that's not as competitive the week before, it doesn't necessarily do you justice to leading into the week ahead. So, I mean, the thing is can the Chiefs probably win this game? Yeah, I don't know if Mahomes is going to be able to go crazy and throw all over the place. But they may have to rely on Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell and, keep the tempo on their side and keep Carolina, so Bridgewater can't, get the ball to McCaffrey. I don't know, like I said, this is one of these games where it could be a trap game for Kansas City, and they don't really want to fall into that. They already have one loss on the year, so they don't want to fall into that. But how do you see this playing out?
I mean, I don't think the Chiefs are going to fall into a trap. I think they'll easily win. I mean, I guess the one guy who could make a difference is Christian McCaffrey. If he goes off and he could make a big difference with the running game, if he finds holes and stuff. But I just think the Chiefs are too good to
Well, I mean, it is the NFL. Anybody can be beaten on any given Sunday. That's been proven time and time again. That formula always plays out. So, you could have a fumble, a snap, you have weather, you have a flag that comes in. There's all kinds of things that play out with that. So I think if they do keep Carolina in the game with McCaffrey still coming back, I think that it does give the Panthers an opportunity to pull off somewhat of an upset in that regards.
Oh, yeah. Anytime there's a one-score game, anything could happen.
Yeah.
That's why I don't agree with in any sport when people say, "Oh, they're just tacking on runs," or "They're just tacking on touchdowns." You never know what's gonna happen.
Well, and that's the beauty of it. That's why it's fun to turn in. Even on paper, teams look good, but sometimes, like didn't really think that Miami was going to beat the Rams last week. But it's some teams just have a tendency to struggle against certain teams. Whether like sometimes they say the Raiders going from West Coast to East Coast, things play out that way. Now the division games, are always interesting, and the division that we have right now has two strong quarterbacks with Breeze and Brady, and now Tampa Bay is sitting at 6-2, and New Orleans is 5-2. This is a game that both teams need because this is playoff implications. This is
Right. Yeah.
home field. You're looking at home field possibly, or at least securing a first round home playoff game. I think Tampa Bay needs that more than New Orleans at this point. Now, New Orleans does get Michael Thomas back, and so are they as good as Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay is also going to have their pickup of their wide receiver be able to play today as well. Trying to think of his name, the guy that obviously had the allegations and was kicked out of the league for a little bit.
Oh, Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown, yeah. So I know that this game is a very important game here. So do you see Brady taking care? Now, didn't they play? They played already, right? And the Saints beat them. I think they played.
Yeah,
I think they already played.
Well, yeah, they're in the same division. They would play twice, so.
Well, yeah, and I think they played earlier.
Yeah.
In the year, but it's definitely a game that both teams are looking to secure and kind of go from there. So the Bucs definitely know how important this game is. How do you see it playing out?
So I just looked. ESPN has Tampa Bay at 65%. When they have a 65% chance of winning. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a really close game. I mean, there's, it's, I'm surprised Tampa Bay is getting 3.5 or is favored by 3.5. Like, I would think it would be one of those, like, 1 point, or even a pick 'em, maybe, but yeah, it's going to be really close. I think Antonio Brown's could be the difference maker. Who do we see? Do we see a guy who missed a year in football? Or do we see a guy who, doesn't skip a beat?
Well, I mean, the thing is these athletes, they stay in shape. They got the money. They got, where they live. They have a backyard. They have going to facilities. They have ways of staying in shape. The biggest question that you run into is the routes and the timing of the
right. There's a difference between being in shape and being in game shape.
Yeah.
So.
And then, plus now you're getting hit from the opposition. So there's, you're being defended against. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I still think that Brady throws the ball around. I think that, he'll try to give, Brown a look. But, I mean, he's going to find open targets is what Brady's going to do is he's going to look for the
yeah, and I think Brady has been more consistent than Breeze over his career.
Oh yeah, I mean,
so
he definitely. I mean, two great quarterbacks, but Brady does have the ring. Brady's had the opportunities, but Breeze, obviously, if you put Breeze on a lot of teams, maybe they win a Super Bowl, with that, as their quarterback. Who knows? Maybe if Breeze was with the Niners, maybe they beat Kansas City, last year. That's a possibility. When you have quarterbacks like that, that step up and, Russell Wilson, but, Brady, he's been beneficiary of a lot of good teams, a lot of good, with the defenses, the coaching. But now, he's in a new role. I mean, he's coming in as a leader, and he's a lot of people probably thought, okay, like go ahead, like if you said, okay, who's going to have more success, Belichick or Brady? A lot of people probably would have picked, Belichick, and that's only because from a coaching standpoint, what he's done to be able to take in a team and revamp it. But Brady, because he was going to a team that was still kind of in flux, and transition.
Well, and there were a lot of people who felt that Brady was a product of the system and that he wasn't necessarily as good as, talent-wise, he wasn't as good as Belichick made him.
Yeah. What about so let's you look at some of the other games, that maybe aren't as flashy, sexy today, but maybe enjoyable.
You mean the Patriots and Jets Monday Night Football? Barf.
Well, I was talking about the Giants and the Redskins. So obviously,
Game too.
with a straight face, I say the Giants and Redskins. Now, obviously, the Redskins are a little bit more, I think, competitive talent wise. Like I think that they offer more, but the Giants have shown, like, I mean, Daniel Jones, is stepping in, and they do have an opportunity to be competitive. But when you play a division, it is, it's a division, and they play each other twice a year. They don't like each other. So it still becomes a competitive game. How do you see the Redskins and the Giants? I mean, the Giants.
As a Giants fan, I kind of want the Giants to lose out, so they get the number 1 or number 2 pick, and either they get the number 1 pick and trade it down because they don't need a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, or they take. I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't know anything about college football to really talk about, like, they're a guy. They don't. What I guess what I'm saying is they don't need anyone. They're set at running back and quarterback, so they don't need like any of the guys that would go number 1.
Mm-hmm.
But they could always use like. Yeah. I mean, one of the big things is they need offensive line. So, I'm not sure if there are any like top offensive linemen this year, but you always want like a top draft pick.
Well, I mean, they're definitely. I mean, when you get to that point in April, I mean, there will be availability for the offensive, not usually offensive line. You can find a lot of good guys for that. So, but just wanted to say hi to Matthew. Matthew's in the
Hey Matthew, and Dead Zone just popped in.
Hey Dead Zone, how are you? Let me give Matthew here.
Matthew just said no, they're not set at QB. They're not set. Like, Daniel Jones isn't a sure thing, but I don't think it's time to give up on him yet. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not. it's not time to draft Trevor Lawrence #1 and have Daniel Jones ride the bench.
Well, there's a lot of young quarterbacks that came in like that in that situation. Like you have the New York Jets quarterback, you have Josh Rosen. You know, you have guys that had promise and upside, but were not able to cement with a team. So you have to, when you're dealing with young quarterbacks, the ceiling is very low. And so you have to kind of say, okay, do we have something here like with Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, you know, to play that into our future?
Well,
Or,
yeah, I think with Daniel Jones, you have seen sparks where he has shown that he's capable of doing things.
well, you have some wide receivers, you have Saquon Barkley, you have a quarterback. You know, the question is building around that. You know, building an offensive line to keep him upright, to start working on your secondary a little bit. You know, I mean, the Giants have been able to show to be competitive in years past. They've always been a team that has been in that division, right there in the thick of things. And right now, you know, Philadelphia is not that strong. You know, Dallas has their issues. Washington has their issues. So I mean, the division is still up for grabs for a team to build around.
I mean, you know, if they drafted a couple of good, or even if they drafted and signed a couple of good offensive linemen, you know, in the off season, then they could easily win the division next year because, like you said, it's up for grabs.
Well, I mean, they've been competitive, but one of the big difference right now is the turnovers by Daniel Jones. And you know, so I mean, the quarterback play, you know, does come into swing here.
But
And
yeah, but how much of that is because he doesn't have an offensive line? You know,
well, but I mean, okay, so he doesn't have an offensive line, but that doesn't mean he goes throwing the ball all over the place. I mean, you have to be a smart quarterback too and know to either hold on to it. You know, these are turnovers that are being thrown by him, you know, not the offensive line. So it's like
right? Yeah.
you
No,
know,
I know what you're saying. It's just I don't know. I mean, it's. I guess I give the guys a little more leash than it's. I think it's football. It's too quick to say like, you know, we're done with you.
well, you know, the thing is you know, Washington and the Giants, you know, they're trying to find ways to hit that upside. Like right now, Washington, they rank fourth in the NFL in total yards allowed.
Oh,
They're
Alex Trebek just died. Sorry.
all right. So Alex Trebek. Let's see.
Died at 80. He was sick. He had cancer.
Yes, he had pancreatic cancer. So, yes, yep. So saddened to share that, you know, Alex Trebek has passed away peacefully at home early this morning, surrounded by family and friends. So he had been battling stage 4 pancreatic cancer since announcing the news back in March of 2019. So he immediately started chemo after the diagnosis, but he continued hosting his game show through all that, and he powered through a full year. But now, you know, this time has come for him. He's able to pass away in peace at home. So he was surrounded by family and friends. But yes, our beloved Jeopardy host has passed away, unfortunately, and we send our condolences to the family. So 80 years, Alex Trebek. A lot of great times on that show, hosting. So
Yeah, I mean that's one of the only game shows that has lasted all these years. That and Wheel of Fortune, really. Those are like the two big game shows. I mean, The Price is Right also, I guess.
So you have, let me go ahead and add this up real quick. Let's see. So we'll have a little moment of silence. We will pay our respects for Alex Trebek. It is, sad to lose anybody in life. Obviously, that is, dealing and battling with cancers. And unfortunately, at this point in time of the year, this is something that his family has to go through. And our condolences, and and may the Lord, accept him into heaven as his new home and take care of him. And thank you so much for the years of the memories of the wonderful shows. And so our thoughts and prayers and condolences.
And for Saturday Night Live.
What's that?
And for Saturday Night Live skits.
Saturday Night Live skits. All right. Well, obviously you have, any game on tap today that you see as something as a must of, like, you're excited for to see the outcome. I mean, what about the Bears and the Titans? You got a team that's got some defense. The Bears have been playing pretty competitively. They lost 2 weeks ago by 2 touchdowns at the Rams, but other than that, all their games have been pretty much decided by 8 or fewer points. So, I mean, they're staying in there. The Titans are giving up about 31.3 points per game. So there's obviously a room for the Bears to come at them with their wide receivers and to, settle a score and win the game. So how do you see that game playing out?
Yeah, I mean, and then it's going to come down to, neither team has great quarterbacks, so it's sort of, it's going to come down to, I don't know, I guess, can Derrick Henry just carry the team?
Well, Khalil Mack, can he put some pressure? Can the front, force
can Khalil Mack stop Derrick Henry?
I mean, if the Bears are up, running Derrick Henry isn't going to be necessarily the way to get back into the game. I mean, but if it's a close game, I mean, the Derrick Henry can go ahead and take that over. But I mean, the Bears, Papa Willie's got the Bears by 4.
Of course he does.
A 24-20 game. The Titans, they're one of those teams where they look like they're going to win the game. They're in it, and then all of a sudden they fall apart. And then
it's having a guy like Tannehill as your quarterback. It's not.
Well, but Tannehill has done the job for him. Look at last year. Like, I mean, he's a veteran quarterback. I mean, that you would love to have in there, instead of having a rookie,
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's just he's not gonna single-handedly,
I mean, they're leading. They're tied in their division, 5-2. Obviously, you got the Colts going up against the Ravens, so both teams can set up with losses or they can set up with wins. But I mean that's the division two with the Colts and Titans. That's gonna probably be whoever goes 10-6 is probably gonna win that division. It could be 9-7. And both those teams are kind of shaky. Colts can't run. It makes it a little tough. They got some guys that are sick and hurt. So, and that depends too as it plays out. So what about the Raiders? The Raiders and the Chargers. You got Justin Haber. He's looking like a star. Right now, a good quarterback. But they're 1-5, and they lost to Denver, which they shouldn't have lost. I mean, they can't seem to close games out. The Raiders, they're 3-1 on the road, and they beat Kansas City. So I mean, do you see Raiders, pretty much handling business here?
I don't think they'll handle business. I think Justin Herbert's, maybe starting to figure it out a little. And, because he clearly has the talent.
Well, he comes from a quarterback family. I mean, Bobby Haber was with the Saints. He's his brother.
Right.
So, I mean, it's in his gene pool. But, I mean, the Chargers have always been.
So, I mean, yeah. I mean, he clearly has the talent to become maybe even the best quarterback in the draft when we look back in 5 years. But I mean, and they both teams have good surrounding, good parts. If the Bears didn't have a chance, I would tell you. Okay. All right, that's cool. Yeah, that game's just going to be close. It's going to be tough. But, yeah, I mean, listen, with
I think the Bears win by 11 today. I think they find a way. I think Derrick Henry fumbles. I think the defense causes a little bit of out of sync. I think the Bears, come through with a win today. But I mean, the Raiders, like I said, they're one of those teams where they look like they have promise. They look like they're going to be a team of old, and then they have a stinker game, and then they do a game like they beat the Kansas City Chiefs, where you think the Chiefs are going to mop them up. So, I mean, are you Jekyll and Hyde? What are you going to get? Because the Chargers, once again, they can't figure it out. They can't play the defense when they need to. They seem to be in these games, but then they give it up to like teams like the Broncos. So it's still a division game. It's still going to be a battle. But do the Raiders get in the car and drive away, or will the Chargers be able to get the juice that they need this week and take care of the division game? I mean, that's why it's the NFL. That's why it's a lot of fun. You don't know what you're going to get each week. Who's going to come out of the game, who's going to fumble, how that's going to be set up. Another thing,
Josh Jacobs is questionable.
Josh Jacobs, and that's huge for the Raiders too.
Yeah, that could be the difference in the game.
What about Yeah, I mean, it could be a huge difference.
I mean, Keenan Allen's also questionable for the Chargers, so I guess maybe they cancel each other out. Importance wise, is that like kind of a star for a star being, I guess whoever. If one of them's able to play, that could be the difference in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I just think right now, I mean, you have one player that is a star in the making, but are all the pieces there? You have the Raiders who are just kind of, 1 week they're looking good, 1 week they're kind of like iffy. So I mean, it could be a very sloppy game today. But the other game to worry about a little bit is interesting. So the Steelers and the Cowboys. Now the Steelers are favored, by 13 and a half, almost 2 touchdowns. Anytime when you get big spreads like that, you kind of want to go lean the other way. The Cowboys, looks like they're not going to have Ezekiel Elliott. Their quarterback situation is tough. So on paper, it looks like the Steelers should be able to walk over them. But they're coming off of a great win over the Ravens. And does this carry over? Is this a type of a week where it's a trap game, where the Steelers are saying, you know what, it's the Cowboys, we got this. Then next thing you know, you look up, it's third quarter and it's 10-7, and the Cowboys are still in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the Cowboys are just too beat up. Dak Prescott's out for the season without Elliott. Whether who's their running back now? Yeah, I think Big Ben is just gonna.
Well, Tony
He's
Pollard,
too good.
has been pretty good for the Cowboys. Tony Pollard has not done that bad. So I mean, he's looked pretty decent. But obviously, when you have Ezekiel Elliott, like he's going to be your number one.
Right.
But I mean, like I said, you have Garrett Gilbert is going to start a quarterback for the Cowboys. Garrett Gilbert. But I mean, and Dallas has given up like 33 points per game. Now I have the Steelers defense on my fantasy points, fantasy team. I'm hoping that I would love for them to do a goose egg and shut them out, get a couple interceptions and stuff like that. But I don't. When you're giving a lot of points on the road, and that's the thing too, is the Steelers are going on the road. They're coming off of a game. I don't know if they're up to play this game. I mean, sure, they may come away with a win, but like I said, it could be that third quarter they could be looking up and it's only 10-7, or 10-3. And and maybe they gut it out and they win 13-3 over the Cowboys. I just, that's kind of how I see it. They need to go on all cylinders, and I mean they're the undefeated team. They're sitting at 7-0. They need to create as much distance in that division as they can, and getting the number one seed in the East, opposed to having to go to Kansas City and Kansas City having to go to Pittsburgh, things like that. I mean, where you're dealing with a good portion of weather as a possibility. So and just playing at home, even though you don't have that crowd, it's just, you get to sleep in your own bed. There's a different feel to it. So definitely the Steelers, need to keep the foot on the gas and go from there. So last one, and then we'll get wrapping it up, guys. We got Miami and the Arizona. Now, Miami, with a surprising win over the Rams. And Miami is a little bit of a different team because they have so many changing parts, with their new quarterback, with their wide receivers. I mean, they're trying to build a team that can be competitive. Arizona, also has, Kyler Murray, who's done really well with that team. The pretty much the running back situation has been interesting, but Chase Edmonds has been very solid. So how do you see that happening in the desert? I mean, you think Miami struggles here?
Uh, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough. I mean, I was looking at who's out. Kenyon Drake's out. Uh, so I mean, we could see like maybe Tua is gonna be, what everyone thought he was in college before the injury, and he's gonna just come out of nowhere and lead the Dolphins to they'll be 13-3 at the end of the season. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know if that quite happens yet.
No, I doubt it too. But I'm just saying, like, maybe he's gonna suddenly take the Dolphins to, even if they come away 10-6. They're 4-3 right now. A 10-6 season would be really good for them.
Yeah. Well, anytime, I mean, even if they're 8-8, I mean, I'm not quite ready to jump on the train of Tua yet, but you have to have a young quarterback that you can build behind and not have to every year look to go get replaced in the draft. Yeah, if you're always replacing your quarterbacks and having to get your picks on that, you can't build your other components like your offensive line, a wide receiver to go with him, a running back. You need to have something where you're looking at these guys being around for 5-6 years and being able to play competitive ball.
Right.
So, I mean, that's why you see these teams, that have been able to replace, like the Patriots, go get free agents and bring them in and still be competitive because of the system in place. And that's kind of what you need to do is you need to build a system. Some of these teams are still trying to figure that out. They don't have the formula. And who knows if they are going to get that formula because they keep doing the same thing year in, year out. And the teams that are winning are just replacing small parts, So we'll see how week 9 shapes up. For us, the games have started, Tori. So we're gonna kind of head out. So let's just go ahead and who's your best bet today? Who do you think is your best bet, and do you think there's an upset game?
My best bet, I would probably say the Steelers.
Okay.
I think there's just too many injuries to the Cowboys that even if this was like a catch 'em off guard kind of game, I just don't think the Cowboys can do it this week.
Okay. And do you see any upsets? Any game that you see that could be an upset?
I mean, upsets? I mean, this is sort of like what's an upset? I mean, would you consider the Chargers over the Raiders an upset?
Right. Well, I mean, maybe a minor upset,
it's
but
not record.
I think that the Chargers have been playing competitively in these games. I mean, it's the same Chargers MO. They start out slow, then they come on, and then they possibly look like they're going to make the playoffs, and they finish 8-8. So Papa Willie's saying he's liking the Jets over the Pats today.
But that's not an upset. I mean, neither team's good.
Well, I'm going to call the Carolina Panthers over the Kansas City Chiefs today. So I'm going to look for that as an upset. I think Mahomes is going to get into a little bit of trouble. Panthers are going to keep in that game, and McCaffrey is going to go off. So I'm looking at the Kansas City Chiefs. If anything else, it'll be a very tight game. Maybe the Chiefs pull it out, but I look for maybe the Panthers as an upset. A definite. I think today the Bears look really strong against the Titans. And the other interesting game will be the Ravens Colts.
Yeah, I guess on upset you could just easily, to make like a line in the sand. Like the upset would be the line, based on the line, like who's the underdog.
Yeah, I mean, you got Vikings or -4 over Detroit. That very easily could be a 3-point game. But
Yeah, so yeah, in that case, New England's a 9.5-point favorite, so the Jets are the underdog. So yeah, it could be an upset.
well, do you have Miami going over to Arizona and handling?
Yeah, that's a good point. Arizona is favored by 6.
Yeah.
So that could be a big upset too.
I mean,
Usually upsets you go by record, but
but see, you look at like Miami last week, they got outgained 471 to 145 in yards and 31 to 8 in first downs, but they still won. I don't know, but it looks like those type of numbers are usually you look at a blowout. Pop Willie. We'll see. We'll see. As soon as
it's called an upset for a reason, Matthew.
It's the NFL, Matthew. Any given week, Christian McCaffrey. So the best way to beat the Chiefs is to keep Mahomes on the sidelines. I mean, if McCaffrey's containing the ball and they're able to just eat up the clock, I mean, you can see it being a 20 to 13 game, a 2017 game with the Panthers coming out on top. So
yeah, I mean, the Panther is controlling the clock with the run game, but I think they'd have to score every time.
well, I mean, the other thing is too is Mahomes can throw a ball that pops out off of a shoulder of a wide receiver, and Carolina covers the ball and gets field position. So I mean, there's a lot of ways to beat the Chiefs. Now, I mean, like I said, the Chiefs, in order for them to get running and get going, with all the weapons they have, they have to have the ball. They have to be able to be on the field. So if you keep them
yeah, that's any team. You could say that about any team, and any team that has a running back. I mean, you could say that about the Titans. If Derrick Henry just can, ram through everybody and hold on to the ball and.
But see, that's the thing. Once he runs through everybody, he usually scores a touchdown. So then the ball right back over. So I'm talking about ball control, like just run 2-3 yards, get a first down, ball control, eat up the clock. Not necessarily busting the line and going from a 7-yard run to now a 70-yard run, and that's what Derrick Henry does. Those type of games, are going to have the teams go back and forth. Mahomes, like I said, you keep him on the sideline. He's not throwing the ball as much. Now, I'm okay with, I have Travis Kelce in my fantasy league. I'm okay with, Mahomes being able to score some points and get the ball downfield. But I'm just saying that there's a possibility when I look at teams and I look at the games that are being played, that this would set up a more of an intriguing upset with the Panthers getting McCaffrey back, playing the Chiefs. Especially since the Chiefs are coming off a lackadaisical competitiveness the week before. I mean, they played you play who's on the schedule, no doubt about that. But they played the Jets, and it's the Jets. And so the thing is, now they got to go from turning it up a notch to getting prepared for the Panthers, who are obviously above the Jets and are going to be more competitive with their running game. They got to get McCaffrey back. There's a lot of things that are going right for the Panthers more than the Jets. So the problem is now, do the Chiefs come off of a game like that? It's like when you celebrate the night before New Year's Eve, right? New Year's Eve, but then you got to work New Year's Day. So you're a little groggy, right? You're hanging out, you're doing everything, but I still got to go into work. You're there and you're going through the motions, but you're not quite feeling it. And that's what is the Chiefs going to do that this week? Or are they just going to go through the motions, and maybe just do enough to win? But if they keep the Panthers around close enough, maybe Panthers edge it out. So, but that's my thoughts with that. So, Matthew, we shall see. Oh, see, McCaffrey just scored. Already it's paying dividends having McCaffrey back. And that's kind of what you're looking at. So just to touch bases before we head out, early scoring already. Texans and Jaguars. So Texans are up 10-7. Ravens and Colts. So the Colts have started off with a 7-0 lead, but the Ravens are 1st and 10 at the Baltimore 25. Vikings have opened up a 7-0 lead. The Giants are 3-0 with a field goal lead there. Yes, the Panthers. Now there's an intriguing start right
there. The Bills are up 14-0.
So what does that tell you? So that means the ball got turned over. There was a fumble or something that allowed field position for that to happen. So that's
I'm seeing what happened.
Well, you have here. I'm going to go real quick.
It just says no turnovers. It looks like.
Well, you have the early score. Generally here you have an early score.
I don't see
with Josh Allen.
Yeah, so, I don't see a turnover.
But it's one of those things where
it looks like
they could have fumbled on the kickoff. They could have fumbled.
No, it looks like it was a quick so it looks like the first drive the Bills scored in 5 minutes 11 seconds. Then there was 3 and out that took 49 seconds for the Seahawks, and then so the 3 and out they just gained 5 yards. And then the Bills went on to score in 1:25.
So so there's no turnovers, no nothing in that regards. It's just 3 and out real quick, boom, boom, boom. And that'll do it. That'll do it for you too, where if you're not able to move the ball downfield and you give the other team an opportunity, and you don't want to fall too far behind. Now, obviously, Seattle is the type of team that can score. 14-0 is not out of the realm, of looking into the fourth quarter of it being still a tight ball game. So you've seen that before where I believe it was Cleveland or Cincinnati where they were up by like 3 touchdowns or whatever, and then the other team started coming back in the second half. So, it's just that's how the NFL is. It's hard to put teams away. And if you leave teams around, that's what you're going to get. So, but yeah, so we guys, we for the most part, we're done here. This is our sports hour. We're trying to keep it within that range for you guys. We got NFL on tap, so let's see how these games pull out today. Let's see if Carolina upsetting Kansas City happens. Then I can josh Matthew a little bit. and then we'll kind of go from there. So, Tori, before we head out, what do you got going on, my man?
Tomorrow I'm releasing the video of Fox's mystery box that he just did.
Mhm.
And then just opening up. I'll be going live at least one time this week to open up cards. And the other videos, I'm not sure. I'll just probably put up stuff that. I just recorded a bunch of videos yesterday, so maybe one of those will get put up. I got a case of the retro toy minis. So I opened up that. I recorded another couple of soda videos. So, and then, and then other than that, I mean, just the comic book show every Saturday. We're going to start doing some comic book reviews. Talk about the number one issues that come out that week.
Mm-hmm.
To, sort of give an idea if it's worth investing in the series or not. And, we might also start reading like a full reviewing the full miniseries. Like a lot of the books coming out now are limited to 12 issues. So once the 12 issues are done, we'll review the whole series. So, and then back here.
Nice. All right. Well, I got a couple of things. I got a lot of boxes to catch up on. I got to ship some stuff out, and I got a lot of things I got to ship out still, and get caught up on that. That's always the hard part. Sometimes is just getting all your box swaps and the collectible swap. I got to get that together. And then we got, a couple of other shows that I'm just kind of working on. I have a collaboration with Sassy Cajun, and started a new show yesterday that's kind of like a talk show based on some of the people in the YouTube world, just up and close personal with some of the people that you guys know. Last night I was able to have one with Nerdy Noob. So Steph over there, we were able to have a little sit down and get to know her a little bit. And then we have Sports Pop Talk, and then we still have our Scream Stream. Obviously, with Halloween being over, we will kind of look at different movies to go after and themes and stuff like that, depending on what we do. But yeah, so keeping busy, staying busy. And making sure that we have fun, because it's all about having fun. So we will definitely until the next one, we hope you have a great one. And like I said, whether it's the world of comics, the world of horror, or the world of sports, we try to hammer it out for you, and we try to keep you up to date and keep you entertained. So we appreciate you guys being here. Papa Willie, Christina Payne, kind of mainstream, Dead Zone, everybody that kind of came in here. And if you're watching on the rewind, definitely appreciate it as well. Thank you for taking a little bit of time just to check us out. It is the world of sports. It's the NFL right now, week 9. So we'll see how it plays out. But right now we have Tori with everything that's going on for you. So we're going to say goodbye to Tori. And we hope everybody has a wonderful Sunday afternoon. This has been Sports Pop Talk with Tori and Eric. And once again, we appreciate it, guys. So we hope you have a great one.